Hi friends, welcome to the second video in my Learned Bullet Journal with Me video series. Today we're going to talk about just those first few intro pages as we dive in and finally get started with our very first bullet journal. If you're curious about what I'm doing here, my experience with bullet journaling, which by the way is none, if you want to know about what I'm thinking with this process, definitely check out the last video in this series. Otherwise, let's buckle up, open up our journals, and dive in to the very first pages as we get started on this journey. Okay, but before we dive in, I want to make sure that you know that everything that I use in this video, from my beloved Archer and Olive journal to the pens I use or anything else I mention, I'll be sure to link them in the comments below. So be sure to check that out. And now let's crack her open and get started. So the first full spread that I wanted to add to my bullet journal is a guide page. I was heavily inspired by Men Who Bullet for this page. He did a lot of this math for me. You should definitely check him out here on YouTube. But you'll see that I have one page that has all of the horizontal guides, and they are divided by how many columns they have: 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then on the other side, I have my vertical guides with the same divisions. As I'm working here, I'm flipping my book around sometimes, trying to just get a feel for what makes it the easiest to use my ruler, and I'm kind of finding my groove. I also made a mistake here on my 6 columns, and so I had to pull out my white acrylograph and just try to cover up those lines so that I could put them in the right place. As you watch this time lapse of me adding ink to all of my penciled in guides on my guides pages, I think it's important to tell you that this process, just the part of adding the pen to the pencil lines, took me 1 hour and 16 minutes. I know sometimes we see video processes and we think it's so much easier for everyone else, but the truth is, it's little tricks like time lapses that make this look effortless. And actually, the process of drawing these lines is a long and somewhat meditative practice. So I tried to look at it as that while I plugged away, tracing with my ruler, adding my numbers again and again and again. Okay, now what we're going to do is create our index page. And I'm kind of really excited about the idea I had for my index and for how I'm going to number the pages in my bullet journal. Because being somebody brand new to bullet journaling, I really don't know how many spreads I'm going to want to have, how many lists I want to keep, that sort of thing. And so when I was trying to decide which pages to skip at the beginning of my journal, it totally stressed me out, which led me to the idea that my extra spreads should all really be in the back. So you can see here, I am adding brush lettering to the word index, kind of fiddling around with how I want the lines to look. Once I'm content with the way index looks, I'm adding the words back to front right underneath. You'll notice that I start with 2 just to kind of center everything. And then I'm going to erase the lines that are still showing and grab my ruler so that I can divide the page in 2 with a line that starts oh, a few squares underneath my title and ends, a few squares above the bottom. This creates a visual separation so that I will be able to create two columns for my index instead of one. As you watch me here, you will see that I played around with a lot of different ideas with a dash, with my center line being a little shorter and then a little longer. The idea is that this is new to me and I'm going to play around until I figure out what feels right for me. Now, so that my index is actually useful, I need to add some numbers to my pages. So I go to the very back page, I start with a 1 in that bottom corner, and then I just go up from there. 1, 2 on the second page, etc., 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 until I get to 25. For now, I think that will be enough. Okay, I think it's time, friends. We need to open up to the very first page of this journal and add our name. You will notice that this particular time I did not use a pencil first. That is mostly because I have lettered my name in the front of an Archer and Olive journal using this exact pen about a zillion times. So I kind of know the spacing already, and I'm just braving it here. Now I'm going to add my last name, which is much longer than my first name. So I'm writing it small in a uppercase. And you'll notice that I start in the middle of my name because then it is easier to keep it somewhat centered. I also wanted to add a date to the beginning of this book, especially because this book is going to cover the end of one year and the beginning of another. I want to stamp the start date, and then when it's all through, I'll come back and stamp the end. For my date, I'm using a adorable little vintage number stamp that I found at an antique store quite some time ago, and black ink. My favorite black archival ink here is from Catherine Pooler. And I'm just going to stamp the number 1122 and then put a dot in the middle so you can tell that it's a date. So there you have it, the very first handful of pages for setting up my very first bullet journal. There we have it, friends. What do you think? I really enjoyed opening this book. It was fun to take my time with these first few pages, and I'm looking forward to sharing the rest of these intro pages process with you. But I need to be honest, the Year at a Glance pages, which are coming next, were kind of a hot mess of a struggle bus. So get ready for that. In the meantime, please make sure that you like, subscribe, turn on notifications, all that jazz. And please let me know in the comments, what do you think? Are you already a bullet journaler? Are you thinking about getting started? Do you enjoy watching my process? Anything else? Other thoughts you might have? I would love to hear. So let me know below. And until next time, friends, keep creating.